the senses of the heart. I started the month feeling a bit overwhelmed when it comes to reading the Quran. So my initial goal was of reading half the Quran, but I just thought that instead of enjoying it, it was more like a chore. And so instead of focusing on what I had read and, giving it time to let it sink in, I was just feeling bad for all the pages I had fallen behind on reading. But halfway through though, I found what works this time, taking things surah by surah. And I still remember how I found that out. It was in a really simple way. So my dad had finished Tarawih by reading Surah Kahf. And I just had this thought, which surah comes after Surah Kahf? I want to read it. And I did. I read Surah Maryam, and from there, it got easier to read more, taking it surah by surah. Now what's interesting to think of? It's how it isn't really any big things sometimes what makes you take big steps. And now I'm thinking about that first goal I had of reading half the Quran versus the thought I had. It wasn't a big thought that's groundbreaking. I think maybe sometimes a small thought can get you further than a big goal. And this is how I feel it was this Ramadan. Splitting timelessness into pieces. It's day 14, 5 a.m., almost full moon, and I think I'm slowly finding my rhythm again. Instead of just groping after the Quran, I think I might be slightly touching it. I think what was different this time was that instead of meeting the Quran with an empty heart and telling it to fill it up for me, I met it with an open heart, and so I'm listening this time. I remember reading in a textbook that listening demands all your senses. It requires you to use all your senses. And now I feel like what I read back then makes so much sense when I think of the Quran. Be listening to its recitation or listening in the shape of reading. To be in a more intimate state with it, we must turn our whole selves. Because I feel like that's what listening is. Giving all we have. And if we turn all our senses to something, like the Quran, haven't we then submitted to Allah? Is listening an act of submission? Isn't it like returning all our senses to Allah? Perhaps that's why it's so hard to listen. No, wait. Maybe that's why words are so powerful. Because they ask us for all we have. Okay, so when we listen, we're meant to be able to retell what we've been told, right? But I think I've misunderstood that this whole time. To be left with the feeling and not words is also a sign that we've listened. And I think that's one of the things that makes the Quran so powerful. That in a strange way, even if we are the ones listening to its words, we live with answers. We return reassured, comforted. It's strange to think of it, but it makes so much sense to the heart when we are listening to Allah, to the one who listens, to the guardian, to the most patient, to the all-seeing, to the all-hearing. And I can go on and on and on 99 times. But to think that The one with these 99 names full of mercy wants to speak to us. Like, think of it. Out of everything He has created, He has directed His divine words to us. And all it takes us to His mercy is reading, is listening. Is it really that big of a sacrifice?